Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and today's video is going to be a chatty get ready with me. So I'm just going to be getting ready here on camera, and I'm just going to kind of jump right into it. So when I do my chatty videos, I don't usually talk about the makeup that I'm doing and like show everything and whatnot, but I do list everything down in the description box in case you're curious about any of the products that I've used. I include brushes or any other tools, things like that. So that will all be down there. When I was thinking about what my next topic I wanted to do for the chatty get ready with me style video, one thing that was popping out to me, oh, what video was it? Maybe it was my small creator tag video that I did. I mentioned at one point that there was a time in life where I felt I said very alone, and then I said no, lonely. I felt lonely. And I kind of wanted to expand on that because I also wanted to make this video kind of like a thank you video to a lot of you, and I'll explain more as I go along. But I thought I could kind of explain why I said I felt lonely for so long and then tie that in with my thank you. I'm already making this rambly, but that is just what I do. So what I was talking about when I mentioned that was, you know, I've kind of opened up the last few months here on my YouTube channel. I've made a couple of these chatty videos talking about some of my situations in the past and what I've gone through. And one thing that's been really challenging to me since I went through my first, you know, very large life experience when I was 11 years old, I was sexually abused by a family member and came forward. Ever since then, and then other like little situations that I've gone through in life since, I have kind of felt this way. And I have felt that I don't have a lot of other people in my, you know, social circle that have been through the things I have. And a lot of times it would really make me feel more alone. Oh, I haven't even zoomed in. This is how excited I was to jump right into it. Usually I do like an intro and everything, and then I take the time to zoom in and all of that. Nope, I'm just like jumping right in here today. Let's have you be able to see the makeup that I'm doing. So for my first situation, and I talked about this in a life update video, and I kind of went a little bit more in depth on it. I did have one gal come forward after I came forward with my sexual abuse story to say that she had been being abused by her uncle, and I was, you know, it sounds weird, but I was really grateful for her coming out, because at the same time it made me feel not as alone, because for a while before she had told her story too, you know, I'm 11 years old, and this is a totally different time. You know, this is 20 years ago, where we're not used to, it sounds bad, but we weren't as used to it back then. That was a very new thing. You know, there wasn't social media, there wasn't reality TV at this point. You didn't understand how many bad things could be going on in the world. And so when something bad had happened to me, it wasn't that my friends were like trying to be mean to me or whatever, but I would hear them whispering about me, you know, like, why do you think that happened? You know, why? What's wrong with her family? Why would that? You know, I would hear those kind of things, and I would, you know, walk into conversations, and it just made me feel really, really bad about myself. And so when the other gal came forward, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one that's gone through something like this. And I can remember being a young girl and kind of having a tough time, because in a weird way, like, I was grateful, but like, it wasn't that I wanted her to be going through that situation. Of course, I'm not wishing that on anybody, but I was really grateful that she came forward, because it made me feel not as much of a freak, if that makes sense. So, you know, while I'm not happy that she went through that, I'm glad that she decided to come forward and share her story as well. But, you know, through the years and through the different things that I've been through, I just feel like it's been hard, because a lot of people in my real life, it just feels like they have the freaking perfect lives, and like no one's going through anything that I'm going through. And I would get so frustrated, and I would feel so lonely, because I would feel it. And again, it's not like I felt like other people were making me feel this way. I think I was doing it a lot to myself, but I would feel very much like an outcast, because it's like, okay, well, there's the girl who was abused. There was the girl that got kicked out of her house. There was the girl who, you know, dealt with some health issues for a while. There's that girl. Like, I just, even though it probably wasn't happening and it was probably all in my head, I just felt like there was always these whispers about me, like, what's wrong with that girl? Why has she had so many bad things going on? Why does she have stitches in her forehead today? Like, why is she sleeping at her best friend's house? You know, why did her friend's parents have to take her in? Why was she kicked out of her house? What did she do to deserve that? And I just felt, again, like I'm going to say, like, I just felt like a freak. I felt like something was wrong with me. And because I was around so many people who seemed to have it so good and so put together, I was just like, dang, what, you know, like, what is wrong with me? And it even continued into college. My group of girlfriends that I became friends with in college, they all came from a non-broken family, which my parents divorced when I was like months old. They all had still, you know, happily married parents. Their lives were put together. Almost every single one of my friends, like my tight group of friends in college, were well off. They had wealthy parents. You know, they weren't worrying about things like tuition and books and if they could afford things. Like some of them even had like really nice cars, and I'm like, what? But those are my friends, you know. I mean, I became friends with them before I knew anything about them, and you know, I'm not saying anything bad about them. I'm just saying we were so different. And I feel like because I had, you know, such a tight group of girlfriends, and there was kind of a lot of us, I felt like I was the only one that came from a broken home, that had these issues, that wasn't well off, that was putting herself through college. You know, for the longest time, I was the only friend working. And not only was I working one job in college, I was working 3 jobs because I was trying to put myself through school and buy my own books and, you know, afford my gas and groceries and all of that. So, you know, while everybody else could go out and have a fun time and party and do all these different things, I was always like, oh, well, I have to work, I have to work, I have to work. And it really did make me feel lonely, and I almost didn't want to talk to them about my issues because I felt like they couldn't understand them. And I remember one night going really deep into a health issue that I was having at the time, how scared I was. You know, I had a procedure coming up, what was going to happen, all these different things. I mean, I talked to one of my friends for a long time. Like I finally just got so, you know, frustrated keeping everything pent up, and I really let it all out there. And her response to me, I mean, this is something I'll never forget. Her response to me is she turned to me and she was like, so what outfit do you think I should wear on my date? Because I just like can't decide. And I'm like, did you just hear anything that I said? Like, did you hear anything at all in that conversation? Or you just thought about your date the entire time? And I was like, okay, I can't talk to anybody. Like, I don't have any friends that I feel like I can talk to about these subjects because they just don't get it, because they haven't gone through these things. Again, not saying anything bad about them or that they're bad people. They just haven't experienced what I've experienced, so they can't relate to me that way. That was something that, you know, kind of hurt for many years. I just wish I had someone that I could talk to, someone that would understand, you know, just a little bit about me, or be able to relate, or just give me advice besides, like, you know, sometimes I would try to talk to my friends and their advice, I'm like, okay, but I don't have a rich dad that's gonna make that problem go away for me, or you know, things like that. Like, I'm like, okay, we're in totally different situations. Like, oh, it was pretty tough. So I can remember how incredible it felt when I started my book blog and my social media journey back in 2009, and I started to be able to talk to a lot of people around the world, you know, and I would get to make friends with people, and I was able to meet people that had gone through things like I had, you know, people who had had similar experiences to mine, and we could talk about them, and we could try to give each other advice, or, you know, sometimes not even advice, sometimes just listening to someone, but I knew that they would be able to, you know, empathize with me because they'd been through something like that. So even if they didn't have, you know, necessarily advice to give me at the end, I at least felt like I was talking to someone who could understand me. I really hope that this is all making sense. I was really so grateful for everyone that I met that had been through something, just because, again, like I'm saying, it just made me feel not so alone. It made me feel not like a freak. It made me feel not like the outcast, because I was like, okay, there are other people out there that have gone through some of these crazy situations like I have. And again, I'm never wishing for anybody to go through anything that I am mentioning. That is not at all what I'm saying. But, you know, it happens. Bad things happen. Bad things happen to good people. Bad things happen to mediocre people. Bad things happen to bad people. Bad things just happen. Other people make choices that will affect our lives forever, and it's not fair and it's not okay, but it does happen. And I think that when people speak up about the situations that they've gone through, it reminds me, you know, especially doing this YouTube thing, it reminds me of how many other people need to hear that. Not because they're wishing it on someone, but because maybe they've gone through a similar situation and now they don't feel so alone because somebody else has. And they can talk to each other about it. They can empathize, they can relate, they can say what helped them get through situations, but it makes you feel not so alone. Because I can especially remember in college, I went through a very, okay, I'm gonna try to get myself together. I remember being in college and going through such a dark spell during that time and really feeling the most I've ever felt like an outcast, because the college we went to was a very small private college, so kind of like everybody knew everybody. You know, there's a pretty limited number of students on campus, and so to feel like I was that one girl that had all of those issues, I just felt like there was a glaring spotlight on me. I'm different, I'm different, I'm different. So college was extremely challenging. I was also still going through some of the issues, like they were still ongoing at that time. They hadn't been fixed. And you know, it was really easy to have those dark thoughts. Really easy to have those thoughts of, wow, like I'm so different. I've had all of these bad things happen to me. I'm probably just not meant to be here alive. Like, there's been so many bad things happening. It's just kind of proof. Why are you still here? Why are you still putting up with it? Just make it go away. I had a lot of those thoughts in college, and it was a really tough time for me. And like I said, I just felt alone. I felt like no one could understand me. I felt like half the time I couldn't even understand myself. And those years were pretty tough, especially my first year of college. That was my hardest year. But I'm really glad, obviously, that things improved and got better, which is fantastic. And that I decided to make the decision in 2009. So I went to college in 2005. And so I made it to 2009 and was like, you know what? Like, I need to make a change, you know, in all of this. And I decided to start a blog. And I'm so excited that I did that. And I'm so glad that I had these thoughts to do that. And I decided to go for it because it truly was so life-changing to be able to meet other people that made me feel not like such an outcast. And I'm so appreciative and grateful for everybody who has spoken up about issues that they've gone through, whether it be publicly, whether it be through messages or emails, anything like that. I'm so grateful for those people, because sometimes you might not realize what it's doing for someone else who's going through a problem. Okay, so I just had to take a little breather, little moment, did my brows off camera. We're gonna jump back into it. But obviously that got very deep and very emotional, and still, even after so many years and, you know, getting through something, I can still just get very emotional talking about it. It's always hard to put yourself out there, and especially, you know, I think about any of my family members who will be watching too, and, you know, how they'll kind of take what I'm saying. It just, you get a lot of thoughts going on in your mind, of course. So, just had to take a moment. But I wanted to kind of explain that backstory and, you know, all of that to kind of make sense to what I'm gonna say next, and how it kind of worked into why I really wanted to put this video out there. And I really wanted to, because as I've been opening up a little bit more on social media and talking about some of the situations that I've been through, I've really started to, I want to use the word overwhelmed, but like not in a bad way, but overwhelmed with emails and messages, even letters coming to my P.O. box, etc., of people talking about their situations and what they've been through. And, you know, thanking me for talking about mine and for putting it out there because it's helping them. And those messages mean so much to me. Those messages really help me be able to make more videos like this, because I firmly now believe that I am helping people, which is what I've wanted to do forever. I mean, since I was 11 years old, this is what I've wanted to do. I've wanted to help people who have been through some of these crappy situations like me. And so it really tells me that I'm on the right path and I'm doing the right thing, and I'm making a difference to even, you know, 1 or 2 people out there. That means a lot to me. Obviously, it's really tough to make these kinds of videos and to put these kind of topics out there, but those messages tell me that I'm doing the right thing, so I appreciate it so much. But it's so funny as I get messages of people saying, you know, thank you, and thank you for telling your story, and this is what happened to me, and this is why I relate to it. It's been really interesting to get a lot of messages of people saying, I don't know why, but I just connected with you right away. I connected with your channel right away. Even before I was talking about any of these subjects, people were saying, for some reason, I connected to you, and now I understand why. I'm also a survivor of sexual abuse. I'm a survivor of physical abuse. Those messages have started to come in a lot recently, and that's been very, very interesting for me to read. But it's interesting to me because as people are messaging me and saying thank you, my messages back to them are saying thank you. You know, not only just for taking the time to write to me, because that's something that still really baffles me. You know, we're all busy. We all got things that we need to be doing. So for someone to take the time out to write an email to me, that means so much to me. But even for telling the story, because, you know, a lot of people have said, I haven't been able to really say this out loud. I haven't been able to tell other people this. You know, I don't feel comfortable putting this in the comment section type of thing, but I wanted to tell you my story. I know how hard it is to have to write those kinds of things. I know how hard it is to speak it out loud, but I know how hard it is to write about those, because as you're writing that, you're thinking about that too. And it's probably taking you back to that time and remembering the feelings that you felt. So when you're writing it, you're also reliving it. And that is really freaking hard to do. So kudos to everyone who is taking the time to write those messages, because I know how hard that can be. And I think that makes you really strong. But also at the same time, I've just been finding myself saying a lot of the same things back to people. You know, not only, you know, thank you for taking the time to write this message, but thank you for taking the time to make me feel not so alone. People are saying, this is my story, this is why I connect to it, so thank you for putting it out there because you've made me feel not alone. You've made me feel like I'm not the only person going through that. And I'm just turning around and saying the exact same thing. It doesn't matter that you're not doing it on a, you know, some sort of public level. That's not for everybody by any means. But that you're taking the time to write a message to someone because their story touched you and you can relate to them, and you're writing back and saying, this is why I relate, that means I'm relating back to you, and thank you. Because just as you're saying thank you for making me not feel alone, I'm saying thank you for making me not feel alone. So honestly, that is where the inspiration to make this video came from, because I just wanted to put it out there on a bigger level. And this isn't to make anybody feel, you know, if you've gone through something but you've never, you know, written a message out there, it is not to make you feel like that's something you need to do, because again, that's also not for everybody, and not everybody is in the right time to be able to send those types of messages. So please do not feel that way. But even if, you know, maybe you've never messaged me about a certain subject, but you've messaged someone else, or you've written someone else a letter and saying thank you, whether it be, you know, I've been through a few things in my life. I have not been through some of the worst, you know, worst things that other people have been through, and maybe you've been able to relate to that, and, you know, you've written someone a letter, you've written someone an email. And I just want to say that you have, I'm sure that you have probably helped other people with those messages. So I just really wanted to make a video about that, because it's just been, you know, I wanted to say thank you on a larger level if I could. I really wanted to say thank you for all of the messages, the comments, the support. It has been extremely overwhelming since opening up. It was one of the more challenging things that I've ever done. It's so scary to make something like this. It's so scary to talk about things that are so personal. But because of the feedback, you guys have just been, you've made me feel so much stronger. As I sit here and cry, but you've made me feel so much stronger putting this kind of stuff out there. And like I said, this is always what I've wanted to do. This is why I started writing books, so I can incorporate my stories in there. But even to have a platform like this and to have such a larger voice, it means so much to me. You know, meeting so many people at the Gen Beauty in New York that I did, and how I think every single person that I talked to referenced my life update video where I really went in depth about things that I've gone through. was so eye-opening to me. And again, just let me know I'm on the right path, I'm doing the right thing. You know, I have to believe that I was put through those things for a reason, and it's because I am someone who's not afraid to use my voice. I am someone who I've always wanted to have this platform to be able to talk about things, so that's why I went through them. Because I can try to do something about it. I can try to help others or make some sort of change, or make, you know, I have to believe that, because I mean, honestly, if I don't believe that, I don't really know where my thoughts would go, but that's what I always hold on to every day. So I just wanted to say thank you so much. I know how hard it has to be to share those stories, and sometimes I feel so bad because I write back and say, you know, thank you, I appreciate you telling me this story, like, you don't understand how it's making me feel. And then I feel bad because I feel like I'm saying, like, oh, I'm glad you went through this, thanks for sharing with, and I'm like, no, you know, that's not what I'm trying to say. I don't want anybody to have to go through anything terrible in life. It sucks and it's horrible. But like I said, bad things are going to happen to people. Other people will make life decisions for us and really impact the way that our life will be shaped, which is completely unfair and not right, but it's going to happen. So even though I don't wish that on anybody at all, it means so much when you take the time to tell your story, because once again, just getting back to, you know, the lonely part of the video, you're making someone feel not as lonely. You're making someone feel not as alone. So I thank you so much for that. That is basically the gist of the video. I know some of those parts were really hard to get out, but that's really what I wanted to say. I just wanted to make kind of like a big thank you video. And even, you know, to the people who have messaged me, and just for the support and all of that, just anybody in general, even just for watching this video. Thank you, because you've really made me feel a part of something bigger. You've really made me feel like I'm on a path of making a difference. And I just appreciate it so much. Thank you for making me feel not like an outcast. Thank you for making me feel not like a freak, for having, you know, have gone through some of these situations. I just thank you so much for that, because again, like you guys have told me, I've made you feel not so alone. You have done the same thing back to me, and for that I am so grateful. So thank you so much. I want to do just kind of a simple eye look today. I am using the new Sigma and Beautyybird, the Dream palette, which is really beautiful. I wasn't sure if I was going to get this one in PR, and I was telling myself not to buy it because I'm like, you don't need it, and it has so many different shades, and like, but I did get it sent over from Sigma, which I'm so excited about. It is such a pretty palette. I've done a green look with it. I was wearing it in my holiday giveaway, and it's just so stunning. The purples in here are beautiful, and I wanted to do just kind of a quick, I wanted to make this video. I was like, okay, you know, I just kind of have like this one subject to talk about. Yeah, a little bit of backstory, but it'll be nice and quick. I even had this thought of like, maybe I'll do my face makeup first and just do my eye makeup in the video, because I'm going to talk so fast. Like, when does that ever happen for me? I'm so ridiculous. But I wanted to do just something kind of simple here, especially with the get ready with me, with trying to talk. It's so hard to do both at the same time, and obviously I tend to get pretty emotional, and it takes me a second to calm myself down and everything. But yeah, this is a really beautiful palette. I really like the way this eye look is. I felt like I was going for like more of the colorful shades out of here at first, which is so not me. So I thought I could do something a little bit more to the norm for me. Okay, I just have a few things left to finish here, but that was really the gist of what I wanted to say. I know I probably could have made that quicker, and I probably repeated myself at some points, but that was really everything I wanted to talk about. You know, give a little bit more insight on me, and also just to say thank you guys, and just so you know that you are making an impact with your voice, because I know sometimes, you know, especially for me, I thought for the longest time about starting to make videos like this for YouTube, but I was like, I'm so small, like no one's gonna hear me, no one's gonna hear my voice, etc. And it's really reminded me that it really is making an impact. So no matter how small you think that your voice is, chances are it's going to be a lot bigger, and the impact is going to be a lot greater than you think it is. So thank you for everyone who, you know, has spoke up ever. I mean, not just relating to me or anything that I'm talking about, but if you've ever spoken up on difficult subjects. I think one of the hard things too when it comes to topics like this is there's so many weird stigmas around it. You know, you shouldn't talk about mental health issues, you shouldn't talk about depression, you shouldn't talk about this or that. And you know, especially when it came to being abused, that was a really hard subject to talk about for several years and to tell people about, because there's a certain level of shame that comes with it. And you know, I that's not right. You know, I didn't do anything to be in that situation. I have no reason to feel shame for that. I've been using the Pure Love Your Selfie 3 for all of my face shades in here, the bronzer, blush, and now I'm about to do the highlight. So, like, their face shades and these palettes from Pure have just been so good. I like the eye shades too, don't get me wrong, and the glitters in here are actually really nice, and all of these like Love Your Selfie palettes that I've been trying out. But the face shades I think are really beautiful too. I'm just gonna wrap it up with a lip color I'm gonna use from Dose of Colors and Desi X Katie. I'm gonna use a Mauve Story because I think it is so beautiful. Alright, so that's actually going to wrap up today's video. I know I usually do trying new makeup on Fridays, but I'm actually filming a week in advance. I'm planning on this one to go up on Friday. I'm going to be gone over the week of Thanksgiving to see my family in Alabama, so I am trying to pre-film as much as I can. So I don't have kind of what I would normally accumulate throughout the week to be able to put into a trying new makeup video, but I thought it would be a good time to add in another chatty get ready with me style video. And you know, thank you guys so much for watching. I just really appreciate the continued support, comments, messages, emails. It means the world to me. It really does. I wanted to be able to put out just kind of like a large thank you video and just give my gratitude because it is just so appreciated. Your kindness, your empathy, your support, not only for me but for other people. You know, I see it in the comment section, someone saying, you know, this is something that happened to me, and seeing that other people write in and, you know, offer their encouragement or their kind words or their sympathy or whatever it may be. It's really amazing, and it's just really great to see. I know we live in a really tough time where there's tough things happening all over the world every single day. So to see, you know, a little bit of kindness and how far it can go, it's just a really amazing thing. So thank you so much. I'm gonna go ahead and cut myself off here because my camera is telling me my memory card is about to be full. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up. I hope that you'll also consider subscribing before you go, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye.